If the version of you that built your success is quietly destroying your peace, this story will matter. With the Michael Jackson movie coming out, people are debating the music and the controversy, but almost nobody is talking about the psychological strategy that built his empire and the identity fracture that eventually consumed him. And if you're a high achiever, you're closer to that person than you may think. I'm Jody Friedman, and I work with high-performing leaders who look successful on the outside, but they feel fragmented on the inside. The persona is strong, but the person is tired. And over 20 years of studying high performers, I've seen the same invisible pattern again and again. Michael Jackson didn't just build a music empire. He built an identity structure. It worked until it didn't. And the danger isn't copying his life. The danger is copying the pattern without realizing you're doing it. Michael Jackson didn't start as a child. He started as a product. By age 5, he was generating millions, touring, recording, performing. When a child becomes a product, something happens psychologically. You split. The performer handles the pressure. The person steps back. High achievers do this too. You build a boardroom version of yourself, polished version, a high functioning version of you, and it helps you survive. But when did that role become more developed than the real you? And what happens when the product version keeps scaling, but the person underneath doesn't? Michael Jackson crafted one of the most powerful performer identities in history. Flawless, controlled, otherworldly. It generated billions of dollars. But performance-based identity, it has a hidden cost. You stop being allowed to be human. No off days, no cracks. The better you get, the less room you have to fail. And eventually, the mask that protected you becomes the expectation that you must maintain. Michael reinvented everything. His sound, his image, his brand. But reinvention at the surface doesn't equal integration underneath. Now you can pivot your business, you can upgrade your brand, you can redesign your identity. But if the original wound is untouched, you're just moving faster in a better outfit. High achievers call this growth. Sometimes it's avoidance. Reinvention with integration is power. The real question isn't whether you can evolve. It's whether you're evolving from wholeness or from fracture. By the way, there's a full identity integration assessment over at wrecktheroom.com if you're curious where you're operating from. But anyway, when fracture meets pressure, perfectionism gets louder. When it comes to Michael Jackson, there are reports of 12-hour rehearsals, hundreds of takes, relentless pursuit of flawless execution. That built an empire. But perfectionism at that level, it's not just excellence, it's fear. Fear of not being enough, fear of disappointing millions. When good enough feels unsafe and rest feels irresponsible, that's no longer ambition. That's identity protecting itself. And when identity protection runs too long, what follows is isolation. Michael Jackson's Neverland, it wasn't just a home. It was a controlled environment that he built. It was private, it was curated, and high achievers, they do this all the time. You build controlled ecosystems. You surround yourself with alignment. You minimize friction. But when your environment becomes so curated that nobody challenges you, growth disappears. Boundaries are healthy. Walls are different. When walls get thick enough, you stop hearing reality. Michael Jackson understood the power of mystery. As his fame grew, his privacy increased. Controlled appearances, limited access, it strengthened the brand. But long-term withdrawal, it shrinks connection. Protect your energy, guard your boundaries. Keep parts of yourself sacred. But if privacy turns into disappearance and isolation, if strategic space becomes emotional distance, that fragmentation returns. Multiple identities helped Michael Jackson survive. The child, the icon, the perfectionist, the recluse. But long-term strength, it requires integration with the human being underneath it all. If the roles don't communicate, if the high performer never reconciles with the wounded part, you feel powerful but not whole. And high achievers mistake power for wholeness all the time. So here's the mirror. Where are you fragmented? Boardroom you, family you, private you, public you. Are they integrated or are you performing them separately? Every high achiever eventually hits this crossroad. The ones who sustain power choose integration before crisis forces it. This isn't about admiring Michael Jackson. It's about recognizing a pattern identity that built his empire. Fragmentation, it strained it. And success without integration, it expands whatever is already broken, whatever is already fractured. So here's the forward question. Can you evolve without splitting? Can you scale without losing yourself? Can you become more powerful and more whole at the same time? Because if you don't choose integration intentionally, your success will eventually choose for you. And that is a much harder and much more costly lesson to learn. I hope this was helpful. See you on the next one.